Assalamu alaikum.
So,
I wanted to ask a question regarding Tadabur. I've asked this question before, but it wasn't really answered properly or in a way that actually would help me, because and therefore I want to explain a little bit my context.
okay.
I converted to Islam many years ago, and it helped me a lot to read Allah's book and think a lot about it. So I listened to a lot of lectures, a lot of talks about Islam, and I learned a lot. And at the same time, I tried to read it myself. I tried to learn a little bit of Arabic. So I really wanted to know exactly what's Allah telling me. So I was always thinking about it. And this actually helped me to understand the Quran better and to, let's say, come up with ideas that turned out to be correct. If you sometimes were not really correct, but I found out about this. But there was a lot that I saw. Okay, actually, I understood this correctly because I understood that lecture, I understood that thing, and then I could make my own opinion on this new verse that I read, on this new ayah. And so the question I'm always asking myself, because I learned or I was told that you shouldn't do Tadabbur if you don't know the whole Tafsir. And that's actually my question. How much of the Tafsir is necessary to be able, or that it is permissible to do the Tadabbur? Because at some point, or there are some ayat where I think, okay, why should I go that deep in the Tafsir? Because there is some, because as you said yourself, I mean, if you start studying it all, it takes a lot of time. So why should I hold myself back and say, okay, I can't do Tadabbur because I haven't read enough or something like that? So at what point can I say, yes, I can do Tadabbur?
Thanks for your question. What's your name again?
Giovanni, but yeah, a lot of Muslims now call me Musa.
Okay, Musa, I'm going to call you Giovanni.
All right.
Because your mom likes that name?
Yes.
Yes, so I like it for her. Okay. And there's nothing un-Islamic about your name. Okay. So, a great question, Giovanni. I think the Quran is multiple subjects, and some of those subjects require background knowledge, not all of them. So when you come across those subjects, you probably will need some more tafsir knowledge than as compared to other subjects. Probably more than often, you will run into those cases in the Madani Quran, and even most of Madani Quran you should be able to grasp without a challenge, but some places you might need to understand the event itself because it's commenting on an event, or it's commenting on a legal matter that has a background to it. So there where you just need a little bit of background information. Now, as far as Tadabbur is concerned, I believe you should be doing Tadabbur whether you know Tafsir or not, even though it's healthier to do it with knowledge of Tafsir. But what makes Tadabbur okay is that when you have a thought about the Quran, you should be able to take it to someone who you can share it with that has a little bit more knowledge, and they can say you're onto something or you're not. Which is why I'd like to recommend, there's a resource that one of my colleagues put together. I like it a lot. It's called QuranReflect.com. So I want you guys to make a note of that, QuranReflect.com. If you're reading an ayah and you have a thought about this ayah and you're not sure if you're onto something or not, you can actually select the ayah, put your thought, submit it to them. They have Quran study students in the background. They can fact check your thought and they can validate it for you without making it public first. And if it is validated, they can make it public so others can benefit from your reflection. And if it's not, they can identify where the problem lies, right? Because one of the issues, of course, is we should be engaged in Quran. So there's a QR code in the back of the Quran Reflect booklet. You can use that to get to the website, inshallah. So that's a resource for those of you that want to do your own tadabbur of the Quran, and you're wondering, how can I get to the right? But if I were to say, oh, what's allowed and what's not allowed, Allah didn't put a condition, so how can I? Technically, right? Allah didn't say, oh, don't do tadabbur on the Quran unless you, like He didn't put prerequisites. Tafsir has prerequisites, ulum al-tafsir have prerequisites. There's something called usul al-tafsir, principles of tafsir, right? But we don't really have usul al-tadabbur. right? Which is why Dr. Sahib and I and Fahim, we did a series at the end of Ramadan. We called it How to Reflect on the Quran. And we put that on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's a 6-part series called How to Reflect on the Quran.